It is a great time to be a budget player or just a fan of Pokemon Pocket in general. Because of recent meta changes, it seems like 1-point based decks are really starting to rise to the top and become like actual competitive threats. They're no longer just gimmicks. Remember in Genetic Apex and even Mythical Island, there weren't too many 1-point decks going around that could net you these really high tier results. Usually you needed 2 EXs in a deck in order to really succeed, but that is no longer the case. Some of the best decks in the format are 1-point decks. So I want to show you what's going on in the meta. What are these 1-point decks that are dominating, and showing you the best list so you can go out and build them yourself. If you guys are enjoying the content, please be sure to like the video, sub to the channel if you have not already. We're almost at 7,000 subscribers. It would mean the world to me. 7 is such a cool number. It's really the best number. So please hit that sub button so I can hit my goal. We got to talk about him, Magnezone, okay? And we have such a fitting song, all right? Sunny Shore City, home of Volkner, home of the electric Pokemon. I don't think he had Magnezone on his team. If he didn't, that's kind of criminal. He should have had Magnezone. It's like the best lightning type from that generation, in my opinion. I know Luxray, I'm sorry, I like Magnezone better. Okay, what are we looking at? So, this change is brought on because Darkrai Magnezone, Darkrai Greninja were doing very well, and people wanted a way to counter that. So, what is the best way to counter decks that sit behind a Druddigon? Well, we have Hitmonlee. And now, because of Magnezone being able to pull energy out of the energy zone for itself, with that Magneton, we can just play Fighting Energy in this deck and guarantee we're Hitmonleeing first turn most of the time, or powering up Marshadow, powering up Hitmonchan, whatever. It all just flows really well. Magnezone is super splashable. You can splash Magnezone with any type you so desire. Give it a try, and I'm sure that the deck will be at least decent because it's riding on the back of Magnezone. The card is ridiculous. So this fighting type version looks to do just take all the strengths of fighting and then give it a powerful secondary attacker with that Magnezone, giving up only 1 point every time something gets knocked out. You use Hitmonlee early game, either soften things up or get them ready to be Cyrused later on in the game. Cyrus is just like the grossest card in the format right now. So many games are being won by putting on early damage onto something and coming back for it later on in the game. You don't even have to take a knockout right then and there. You can leave it knowing you're going to be able to Cyrus it up. Hitmonlee also does 30 damage, which is so important because that means that now 1 potion will no longer take you out of Cyrus range. You're going to need to find 2 to get that Pokemon out of Cyrus range and keep it safe from that card. So Hitmonlee is just fantastic. Probably the best setup attack for Cyrus that we have, outside of another one we'll show that's slightly better, slightly worse. I don't know. We'll talk about it once we get to it. But yeah, this deck is like dominating right now. Okay, this is replacing a lot of the spots that Darkrai Magnezone had. Darkrai Magnezone is still a fantastic deck, and it's still doing well tournament by tournament basis. But this deck is doing like just as well. It seems to be very good. So this is like the #1 deck I would build if you're just looking at this video and you want to build one and you only have the pack points or whatever to get the tools for one deck. This is probably going to be the best one. I mean, if you've been opening packs for a while now, you're going to have all of the pieces here. The only thing you're going to need from the new set is 2 Magnezone, 2 Cyrus. That's what? 150 points to get both Cyrus, and then 300 to get both Magnezone, I believe. So like 450 if you truly pulled nothing. Just a great deck. It seems to be fantastic. It's doing very well in the meta. Who knows? Things could entirely flip on its head. The meta is moving very fast right now. There's being counters to counters like everywhere. It's kind of crazy, but for right now, this seems like a very solid pick. You won't be disappointed getting Magnezones. I think it's going to be a staple for the rest of the format. Now check out this guy. This deck I really enjoy. I've only played a few games with it so far, but it has felt so much fun. We are, instead of running the fighting package, we are going with the Electabuzz. This also, little difference between this one and this one. All right, kind of big. You get to play the Magnemite that does 20 damage instead of the one that does 10, because you get to play Lightning Energy. Minor change. Somewhat buff, not really, probably not too impactful most games, but you have the Electabuzz and the Electivire. Electabuzz is going to give you a 40 snipe anywhere now, thanks to that Thunder Spear. And this one doesn't have to go to just the bench. You can go to the active spot as well. Then the Electivire, it does 40 damage. If it has 2 extra lightning energy, so 4 lightning energy in total, it's going to do 80 more damage, hit for 120. boost your Magnezone damage a little bit. The reason why we're only playing one in here is because the Electabuzz is more important than the Electivire, right? Electivire will help you get a third big attacker setup if that's what you need for the game, but more often than not, what you're going to be doing is using that Electabuzz to fix up math for Magnezone later. Electabuzz can take out small HP Pokemon better than Hitmonlee can. If you think like Manaphy, if Manaphy is sitting in the active spot and your opponent throws a Cape of Toughness on, well, Hitmonlee or Hitmonchan can't get through it, but Electabuzz can get through it in 2 attacks. So the Electabuzz has just felt fantastic. This is my preferred way to play it. I think I'm just kind of Hitmonlee out. I've been playing a lot of Hitmonlee decks for a long time. So looking at the rest of the list, we have that one Volcaner to give our Electivire that last little boost he needs at the end of the game, because you are going to be attacking with Magnezone. You're going to be losing energy when your Electabuzz goes down, wherever. That energy is going to be in the discard pile by the time you need it to power up the Electivire. 1 Sabrina, 1 Cyrus. We're not doing the 2 Cyrus thing. That is because Electabuzz is a little bit less consistent to use as a like Cyrus guarantee, because he needs 2 attachments. So we have the 1-1 split there. This Sabrina has felt great in the games I've played. 1 Giant Cape, 1 Rocky Helmet. I really love Giant Cape in Magnezone decks. I'm surprised that like every single one doesn't play it. Mostly because I think of, if you run into some fringe stuff, if you run into Infernape, your Magnezone is still in range of a knockout. Against Palkia, Magnezone stays in range. Giant Cape takes him out of it. Here's your daily cat. You never know when it's coming. You never know when it's coming. Let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think? What do you rate it? Yeah, there you go. Look at the camera. Good job. Okay. 2 Pokemon communications just to smooth things over, make it more consistent. And 2 Pokeball. Very standard list. But yeah, I've been really liking this one. I like doing 40 damage wherever I want. It seems pretty good. Just a lot more damage than Hitmonlee, and I feel like I can pressure my opponents just a little bit better. I actually played a game that had an insane... It was against a Mewtwo deck, so how relevant is it? But they had a Giant Cape. I attacked once with Magnezone. I'd already built up 1 Electabuzz on the bench. They retreated that Mewtwo out onto the bench. He had like 60 HP left with his Giant Cape. And I just promoted Electabuzz, benched another Electabuzz, attached to the Electabuzz, and it was like, there you go. It's GG's. You don't have anything that can heal your Mewtwo. Nothing. I'm just going to Thunder Spirit twice, and that's the game. That's the beauty with these 1-point decks, is your opponent has to get through 3 Pokemon, man. There's no speeding up the game for them. They have to get through 3 1-point Pokemon in order to win the game. And that's what I really love about 1-point. It lets you control the flow of the game a lot better than with these EX decks. I promise it's the last lightning type deck, but hey, look at no Magnezone, a little bit something different. You guys have probably seen this deck going around. It's the Luxray Electivire. It took a second for people to try it out and really kind of iron it out. It was a pretty obvious combo, right? Because of the Volcaner supporter, it attaches energy either to Luxray or Electivire. Makes sense. But it took a second for it to start popping up in tournaments. This deck is very, very cool. Luxray is like the ultimate sniper. He does... you discard all lightning energy from him, so 3 lightning energy, and you do 120 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. That's anywhere. That's pretty disgusting, right? I mean, 120 damage anywhere is gross. You're playing no Cyrus in this list. You don't really have a whole ton of space. I guess you could maybe get rid of a Rocky Helmet to fit a Cyrus, but you're kind of just like, why would I need to Cyrus anything when my... like second best or best attacker is doing 120 damage wherever I want, right? It looks like kind of has like a Cyrus built into him by the fact that he's doing it anywhere. And then again, like we just talked about in the last list, same thing with the Electabuzz and the Electivire. Just Electivire is a very powerful attacker for you. Electabuzz is great early game. And then yeah, just the Luxray to finish things up. So you can chain Luxray attacks off of the Volcaner. You can use Volt Bolt, hit a Volcaner, and attach to the Luxray one more time, and then you've done 2 120 damage snipes. So just a very, very cool deck overall. Double Rocky Helmet. Very, very important. Rocky Helmet has, like, proven to be such an amazing card because it just fixes the math for a lot of decks. It's a little bit of a reactive card. You know, like, you can't combo Rocky Helmet. Well, no, sorry. It's almost probably, like, you can combo Rocky Helmet in the same turn that your opponent attacks into you, which is very, very nice, right? They don't have a turn to heal off the damage or anything like that. you just lower their damage by 20 going into your turn if they attack into something with a Rocky Helmet. So I've been loving Rocky Helmet. It's one of my favorite cards from the set. It's very cool to see it be a good card because in the real TCG, we've had Rocky Helmet in a lot of formats. It's never been good. 20 damage going back into you has never really been a relevant number. There's also tool removal in that game. So Rocky Helmet has never done anything, but I love to see it doing good here because it is such a cool tool card. Okay, moving on into some of the pretty cool stuff, right? We have just Skarmory and Bastiodon. Skarmory is like one of the best early game attackers if you can fit the Skarmory package into your deck. Skarmory, in order to be like good, requires you to play 2 Skarmory and then either 3 to 4 tool cards in order for him to work consistently. And in a deck that's just Skarmory and Bastiodon, you have the space for it. Skarmory is doing 50 damage if it has a tool card attached. You put a Rocky Helmet on it, this thing becomes the scariest thing to see in the active spot on your first turn. The opponent just, you hate to attack into a Skarmory, man. You're taking 20 damage back. They're dealing 50 damage over and over. It's just ridiculous early game pressure. And then the Bastiodon has that ability where if it is attacked, you flip a coin, and if heads, you reduce the damage done to Bastiodon by 100. Very, very ridiculous. It only does 80 damage back, but it's more like a defensive wall. It's trying to see how many turns it can survive. So just a very, very cool card. Little bit difficult to set up because of the armor fossil not being a basic Pokemon. We play the 1 Pokeball just as another way to find our second Skarmory. But again, just a very cool 1-point deck, right? You're probably using 2 Skarmory and 1 Bastiodon. That's quite a bit. The Skarmory puts on a lot of early game pressure, and then the Bastiodon comes up and is like, hey, I'm not being one-shot. I'm dealing 80 damage every single turn. That's enough to 2-shot basically any Pokemon EX unless they have a tool card attached to them, a giant cape. So very, very good. 2 Giovanni as well to boost our damage, boost our numbers. Use the Giovanni once on the Bastiodon. It's now hitting that 170 against Palkias that are caped. Gets you closer to knocking out a Charizard when that comes out. Another great thing about 1-point decks, man, Charizard hates to see him. Especially this, right? Because you're going to have Skarmory poking the Moltres, putting them on a timer. They're not going to be able to get up to like 8 energy on the Charizard. The Charizard could just run out of energy before it's done attacking. Your Skarmory's not weak to fire, so they don't get to slash it in order to take that one-hit knockout. They have to use their big attack to get through. Just a very, very cool deck overall. I really love Skarmory. It's becoming one of my favorite cards to try to work into decks just because of how powerful its early game is. I'm telling you, Skarmory almost on its own shuts down Palkia decks. Like, you knock out the Manaphy, if they try to slowly set up a Palkia in the active spot, 50, 50, 50. With a Rocky Helmet on there, their cape doesn't matter. It's just fantastic. I love this card so much. So very, very cool deck. Very cheap to build. Hope you go give it a try. Let me know how you do with it. Now, this one is kind of crazy. And I just realized, again, I'm matching the music on accident. We got the route in Gen 3 where you would find Skarmory's. Skarmory is not a Gen 2 Pokemon, by the way. He's a Gen 3 Pokemon. I don't care what you say. This currently right now is like 7-2 in a 750 player tournament. And it's Skarmory Wormadam Heatran. So you might need an explanation on what Wormadam does. Wormadam does 50 damage for 2 metal energy, and you just flip a coin until you get tails. For every heads, you do 30 more damage. So I guess he's here as like a, try to do more damage than Skarmory did. You have the Heatran in here to do that 110, but this just looks to be a super aggro deck that's putting out a lot of damage every turn, and doesn't really require a lot of setup. It seems very, very consistent. I mean, you have the Skarmory, then you have the Wormadam, which is a stage 1 line, and then you have the Heatran, which is another basic. It would suck to start the Heatran. He does have 3 retreat cost, and you don't have any sort of retreating options, but I'm sure you can get it done even if you do start Heatran. Yeah, just a very cool card. Seems a little, I mean, obviously it's a little bit coin flippy, right? We got the Wormadam. If you guys are wondering, I'm petting my cat. I'm not like playing an imaginary piano. My cat's on my lap, and I got to keep it off my PC because one of her favorite hobbies is hitting the off button on my PC. I'm petting her to appease her and keep her from doing that. We have the Dawn to do cool Dawn plays. You know, power up that Heatran when it only has 1 energy on it at the start of our turn. Double Giovanni, again, we're just boosting the damage of our Skarmory, of our Wormadam, of our Heatran. Skarmory's going to be able to KO 60 HP Pokemon. Wormadam as well without any coin flips. And Heatran will be able to hit 120. Not really a relevant damage number usually. It's not like we're hitting any EXs or really any other relevant 1-price Pokemon for a one-shot, but the Giovanni, I'm sure, comes up, and you just have so much deck space here, right? Like, it's so low to the ground, just aggressive, aggressive, aggressive. This is a very cool deck. I want to give it a try. I'm sure Wormadam's going to make me more mad than he is happy, because I hate coin flip cards, but cool deck nonetheless, and go 7-2 in a tournament of 750 people. It's still ongoing. They could break into top 8. Who knows? Just very interesting to see. Let's talk about the beast himself, Rampardos. So this is the Lucario variant. I can't sit here and pretend like I'm partial to the Lucario variant. I really like the variant that opts for no Lucario, and we play Hitmonlees and Hitmonchan, or it's not Hitmonchans, Marshadows, to, you know, get our extra damage we need, place it ourselves. I just really don't love a stage 1 with a stage 2 fossil all that much. It never felt that consistent to me, and starting Riolu just feels so bad. Just that 60 HP Pokemon in the active spot never felt great. Anyways, this deck has been doing pretty good, both versions. I've seen the Lucario pop up more often, so I gotta show you that one first. But the Hitmonlee version has been doing great as well. Rampardos is just a ridiculous, ridiculous card. It does 130 damage for 1 fighting energy, has 150 HP. If you knock out the opponent's Pokemon, it does do 50 damage to itself. It's gonna cause a lot of weird situations. Just so you guys know, if both you and your opponent are on 2 points, and you knock out something with Rampardos, but Rampardos knocks itself out, the game's a tie. Nobody wins. Cranidos is also very good, right? It does 50 damage for 1 energy and has 90 HP. Very, very strong. Do not forget about the Cranidos. He comes up in a lot of situations. Both of those damage numbers are just boosted by the Lucario. They do 20, your fighting types do 20 more damage, so you can get up to 150 or even 170 with the Rampardos. This list is playing Chatot. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I don't know how much you're gonna... I've not tested the Chatot version, so maybe this one's better. I mean, it would allow you to set up, like, Lucario and Rampardos and just kind of send up Rampardoses and say, like, I'm doing 150, I'm doing 150, I'm doing 170, you know, and just kind of sweeping your opponent like that. So, interesting build. I'll have to give it a try. The usually more common ones that we see are Rampardos with Lucario and then, like, 2 Hitmonlees, or 1 Hitmonlee, 1 Marshadow, and then the rest of the list is pretty much similar. Maybe they throw in like an X speed instead of a Sabrina into the deck, or 1 less communication at an X speed. There's just a lot of ways to build this deck. No one has really cracked like this is the optimal 20. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to play Rampardos, so try out whatever variant for yourself you want. They're all pretty good. Rampardos is just that powerful that it doesn't really depend on how optimal your 20 is. As long as it is a logical set of 20 cards, Rampardos is going to be able to win you some games by that massive, massive head smash attack. And just really quickly, I don't want to reset my graphic. I don't want to do anything. This is the Hitmonlee Marshadow version I was talking about, the one that I'm more partial to. So pause the video, take a look at the list, import it into your Pokemon Pocket, and go try it out. All right, now we'll end it off with a bit of a fun deck, and then a sort of not 1 point, but is still kind of a 1 point deck. We have Arbok Honchkrow, with a little Farfetch'd in here as well. This deck, Honchkrow, allows you to do 50 damage wherever you want. You can then Cyrus or Sabrina to bring something up with Arbok, trap it, and do the usual corner things. You guys know how Arbok works, or maybe should, right? And he's been around since the very first set. If you don't know, Arbok's corner attack prevents your opponent's Pokemon from retreating. So Arbok can lock up things that are either not powered up and ready to attack, or just don't have attacks that can knock out Arbok, and essentially just steal free prizes off of them. Yeah, we're playing 3 Gust in this list because that's really what you want to be doing. You want to be bringing up whatever you want for Arbok to prey on and get you those free prizes. 2 Leaf, we have some pretty big guys. Honchkrow has 2 Retreat, which is insane. Arbok also has Tuber Treat, so the Leaf is good to pivot in and out of those. If you'll want to like Honchkrow and then maybe go into an Arbok right after that. You're going to need a Leaf to do it without losing all your energy. 1 Rocky Helmet, 1 Giant Cape, just to boost damage and just to increase the damage that you're technically doing turn after turn, however you want to explain it. But yeah, very, very cool list. Don't think it's all that great, but hey, here's a new 1-point deck for you guys to go try out. Give it a whirl. Let me know what you think. And we got to talk about Garchomp. All right, he's not totally a 1-point deck. We do play the Mew, which hopefully, again, you have your Mew. Mythical Island has been out for a month. Hopefully, you have pulled at least one. We use the Druddigon because we do need time to set up. Not only is, Garchomp a stage 2, he has 2 different energy costs in order to attack. And sometimes the game just isn't kind to you. And you do not find the water or the fighting energy that you need in order to start attacking. This list just runs a 1 Gible, 2 Gabite, 2 Garchomp line. This is the best placing list. I don't know how much I personally agree. Seems like this deck could really struggle against other 1-point decks without that second Gible, but this one's from like a week ago before the meta change, so I think that 2 Gible is worth it for sure. It's not like you have a lot of basics that are, you're not clogging up your basic search. Like you want double Garchomp if you can get it. So I think I would go up to 2 Gible here. But then we have the Mew as a secondary attacker. Mew genome hacking. You guys know what it does. Garchomp has the Reckless Shearing. Discard a card from your hand. Draw 1 card. The Dragon Claw is going to do 100 damage. With Cynthia, you're going to hit 150 with it. Just on paper, very powerful attacker. In practice, hasn't been the greatest. Again, this is like the one list that has really done anything. They did pretty decent at one of the early tournaments in the format. So I just figured still I would show you guys, I don't want any comments asking, where's Garchomp? Where's Garchomp? Here's Garchomp. I don't think he's as great as any of the other decks I showed today, besides maybe the Arbok Honchkrow deck. But here he is. This is what he does. And go give him a try too if you want. That's going to be it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you sub. If you didn't sub after the intro, I'm just going to assume you hate me, man. And that's not cool. That's not cool. Make sure you subscribe. Have a good night. Goodbye, guys.